Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Safe Zone podcast. My name is Brittney. I'm a mental health guidance specialist, and I'm also a meditation guide. I have been within the mental health field for the past 8 years, and during these 8 years, it has become very apparent that there is not enough information. There's not enough spaces for us to learn why we do things, why other people do things. There's not a lot of information around this mental health thing and all the factors that affect it and how important mental health is. So that's the gap I try to fill within this podcast. Every episode is created to present a tool, a perspective, something that I think is very important and useful on your journey to good mental health, good well-being, healing, empowerment, etc. And this episode is none the different. Episode 3 today is on hack your sleep. Why did I choose hack your sleep? Because sleep is very important, number one. And you will understand just how important it is as we continue through this episode. Number 2, I hear clients talk about sleep issues. I know people, family, friends, and I've also overheard conversations, or should you say, Mako conversations, around people having problems with sleep. So it's clearly a thing for many reasons. Again, we'll cover those reasons. So because it's such a prominent issue, I think that this is vital, important information that many people would make use of. And I also think that people don't realize just how much negatives come from not sleeping. So we're going to cover all those drawbacks from drawbacks that come from sleep deprivation. And I also don't think there's enough tips out there for good sleep. People only talk about sleep aids, what pill they use or get prescribed to sleep better. And that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work, brings a plethora of negative effects, and also comes at a cost. So I'm going to give you all some everyday, easy, cost-effective options at the end of this episode to help you hack your sleep. Yeah. So what are you going to expect in this episode? We are going to talk about a couple of things. One, we're going to cover some interesting facts or just necessary information that I think we need to know regarding sleep. We're also going to talk about 8 drawbacks of sleep, 8 negative effects that come from a lack of sleep. And I'm going to give you 9 tips for better sleep. Yes, so normally I just give you all about 3 tips per episode, but because I know that the majority of this episode is focused on hacking your sleep, that's why we have more tips in this episode. Yeah, so without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so first thing, interesting facts and information. First, I want to cover some hidden reasons why we struggle with sleep. Firstly, childhood trauma. What? People that grew up in homes that had a lot of domestic violence, a lot of abuse, alcoholism, etc. You as a child were very frequently woken up out of the blue, especially if episodes happened often in the night. So while you were growing up, your nervous system kind of came online and got adjusted to being alert, awake, and easily woken up while you're asleep. So that translates now to your adult self still struggling with sleep and hopefully not being in those environments. Aside from childhood trauma associated with um, explosive episodes happening in the night, if you have unresolved trauma, big and small, when you go to lie down and sleep, that's when these things are going to resurface. Because during the day, you might do a great job of distracting and ignoring all the things you shove in the back of your basement of your brain. But when you lie down to go sleep, it just knocks on, comes back up, and tries to get your attention. So people with a lot of unresolved trauma often have a lot of sleep problems. Number 2 hidden reason why people struggle with sleep. We are in a society where not sleeping is seen as a good thing. It's seen as a sign of strength. We go sleep when we're dead, blah, blah, blah. Yeah? So because no sleep is praised, then there's a slight peer pressure to operate like that. And then if you say you are making sure and clocking in enough sleep, you are made to seem lazy, unproductive, etc. Number 3, a lot of people don't create enough time in their day or week to sit with it. Sit with it means to sit with whatever emotions you're feeling, whatever thoughts, whatever reflections you need to sit with, whatever experiences you need to process and digest, whether that sitting with it is sitting down, journaling, talking to somebody, going into therapy, etc. If you go throughout your day, just going from distraction to stimulation to distraction to stimulation to numbing to stimulation to distraction, only when you go to sleep, your brain actually gets your undivided attention. So obviously, more things are going to come up. So if you don't create some type of pocket to sit with it, we don't need to sit with our drama and emotions and thoughts all day, every day, but we do need to create pockets. So those that don't create those pockets and just distract, avoid, overstimulate themselves, chances are you're going to have some struggles with sleeping. Our work and school schedules do not create a healthy circadian rhythm. We're going to understand what this circadian rhythm term is just now. But when we are, the typical school and work schedules make us wake up much earlier than we should and leave us with a lot more to-dos and keep us up much later than we should be up. Another thing, there is a lot more entertainment than any time before in human society. So there's always something to do, something to look at, something to watch, some new post, some new feed, something to do. So because there's so much more entertainment, there aren't much pockets of boringness, which is actually good. Boring, being bored is very good, and you shouldn't run from it. So because we are overstimulated and we always have something to distract us, very rarely do we give our bodies time to actually settle in, relax, and get tired. Last little hidden reason, we have lifestyles now that are a lot more based indoors. So we wake up in our AC rooms or blocked up rooms, windows closed, curtains closed. We jump out of our homes and go into a car that's blocked off, windows up, reach into a workplace, in a building, artificial lights, etc. We are not getting enough sunlight, we are not getting enough fresh air, and we are not giving our body enough cues that it's daytime and that it's nighttime. So our indoor lifestyles as well as our sedentary lifestyles are not helping our sleep. Not moving your body and making use of your body does not lend a hand to it being ready to sleep at the end of the day. Yeah, so that's a big factor. Okay, so those are all the hidden reasons. A couple last bit of facts and information I think that's useful for us to learn. Everybody has different sleep times based on your developmental stage. So I'm going to give you the sleep times recommended for infants, teenagers, adults, and elderly people because they're all different times. However, across the board, across all of those developmental stages, a person needs a minimum of 7 hours of sleep. It's going to vary as we go through different ages, but none of them are less than 7 hours of sleep. We've heard this 7 hours of sleep thing before, but why is it 7 hours of sleep? Let me give you a little brief little science. Our sleep involves 4 stages. Each stage takes about 90 minutes to go through. So the first stage, 90 minutes, then we go into the second stage, 90 minutes, third stage, 90 minutes, fourth stage, 90 minutes. Healthy sleep takes us through about 5 to 6 of these cycles. So if you do the math, it rounds us up to about 7 hours, 7.5 hours, something like that. So that is why that's the recommended amount of time for sleep. And before we move on to this important information and facts, this fancy term, circadian rhythm, if nobody ever heard that before. Circadian rhythm refers to our sleep-wake cycle, when our body starts to wake us up and when our body starts to get us sleepy. It is based on cues from hormones. So this refers to the time of the day that your body starts to produce melatonin, which is the hormone that gets us sleepy. And then when whatever time our body decides to suppress the production of melatonin and produce cortisol. Cortisol is your alert, ready hormone. We know it as a stress hormone as well, but it's just whatever awakens and alerts our body and gets us ready to be focused, to be alert, to be prepared. So your circadian rhythm is your 24-hour clock internally as to when your body decides to shut down melatonin and start up cortisol, and when your body decides to shut down cortisol and start up melatonin. Yeah? Okay. Like I promised, I want to give you all the different times as to how much sleep. So this also refers to the amount of melatonin and the times that melatonin is produced. So for infants, 12 infants require 12 hours to 16 hours of sleep a day. Teenagers require 8 to 10 hours of sleep a day. Adults require 7 to 9 hours of sleep a day, and elderly people require 7 to 8 hours of sleep a day. Like I said, all of them are a minimum of 7 hours, and we've covered why. So that's all the information and the facts that I think are important, just for us to kind of get just an understanding behind why we struggle with sleep, and also what are some key things we need to understand behind sleep. Now, we're going to move on to the negative effects of not having enough sleep. This is not an exhaustive list, so I'm pretty sure there's much more, but we're going to cover a few of them. So the first few are going to have some little information behind them, and then the last couple are just some bullet points. Firstly, when you don't sleep enough, you have a reduction in your memory and your learning skills. Our learning goes across 3 stages. There are 3 stages of learning. The last stage, which is when we actually store our information, consolidation, that only happens when we sleep. This is an important factor for students, whether you're an adult or teenager student. If you want to pull an all-nighter, like I used to, I was queen of all-nighters. I am an owl to my core. What I learned is that it's very important to get at least a little nap in before. So if you want to pull an all-nighter, pull an all-nighter. But if you do not allow your brain to sleep, then it's going to hamper the storage of that information, right? That storage and retrieval part of the information. So bear that in mind. When we don't sleep, we aren't able to store information as well as we would if we did sleep. Also, another interesting thing, our brain tends to store negative emotional content faster than positive emotional content. So when we don't sleep enough, you have a higher chance of storing negative emotional content and leaving behind all the positive memories, thoughts, and experiences. Those don't get processed and stuck into our brain, right? So bear that in mind. Less memory, less learning, less storage of information, and specifically less storage of positive emotional thoughts and memories. Number 2, when we don't sleep enough, we have a lower reaction time. Why is this important? If we aren't able to react to things around us, then that actually increases our danger. Do you know that there is a significant increase in car accidents when that daytime savings happens? That there's a notable research-based increase in car accidents when that daylight savings thing shifts, right? So if we aren't able to have a good enough reaction time, we aren't able to prevent mistakes, accidents, and we end up being a lot more at danger. Interesting. Number 3, you have less positive emotions and more negative responses. You end up being more irritable, you are more impulsive, you are more angry, and you are more aggressive. Why is this? Not just a matter of being groggy. The part of our brain, our amygdala, that is in charge of all those emotions, when we don't sleep enough, we aren't able to suppress that part of our brain. So that part of our brain just goes off. We aren't able to suppress our emotional reactions, how we want to respond to particular things and particular emotional impulses. When we get enough sleep, we have the other parts of our brain that's in charge of suppressing that part awake, alive, and ready to work. So a lack of sleep makes us more likely to have a negative reaction and also a lot less positive emotions, which is not good. Number 4 out of 8, we have less repair and a breakdown of our immunity. So there are particular things in the body that only happen when we sleep. They do not happen when we're awake, they only happen when we sleep. particular repair and immunity functions happen when we sleep. If we don't get enough sleep, our body is not getting enough time to rejuvenate, to repair, and to build our immunity. Our immunity breaks down. This relates to a lot of other negative factors that come from a lack of immunity and also not giving our body, muscles, everything else enough time to repair. Especially if you're somebody physically active. If you're not sleeping enough, chances are you're going to be sore for longer, and you're not going to get as much muscle payoff as you can because you're not sleeping enough to let your body build back what it needs to build back. Number 5, you have more stress hormone. So back to the circadian rhythm thing. Circadian rhythm deals with 2 hormones. Melatonin gets us sleepy, cortisol wakes us up and gets us alert. Cortisol is also a stress hormone. You know this stress hormone, this is a thing that we're talking about, trying to reduce our levels of cortisol. Before you try to adjust your diet, maybe try to get enough sleep first. You're going to have more stress hormone, aka cortisol. This is important because this is going to put strain on your heart health. It is also going to increase your blood pressure and it's going to increase inflammation. Inflammation is a big culprit for a lot of physical illnesses. Bear that in mind. So again, when we don't sleep enough, we have more stress hormone, which is cortisol. Number 6, a lack of sleep is associated with the following mental illnesses: anxiety, depression, suicide ideation, suicide, and bipolar, and a couple more others, right? So the less sleep that we get, the higher these begin to rise. 7, we have a weakened ability to cope with stress, and also we're more likely to cope with stress in unhealthy ways. Unhealthy coping mechanisms relate to avoiding our stress and problems, acting like they're not there, distracting ourselves and numbing ourselves. And healthy coping acknowledges that we have challenges. Let's either solve them, try to understand them, or at least pour into ourselves so that we can show up for them better, right? So a lack of sleep makes us less likely or less able to cope with stress in a healthy way. And lastly, very random but important, not sleeping makes us eat more. However, not that eating more is a bad thing, but most times when we don't sleep and we eat more, we end up eating more unhealthy stuff, which then increases a lot of unhealthy weight gain. And I say unhealthy weight gain because weight gain is not bad. I'll say it again for the people in the back. Weight gain is not bad. Unhealthy weight gain is bad. And again, like I said, as much as it increases our eating, it often increases unhealthy eating because when we're tired, we will reach for these sweets, we will reach for these sugars, we will reach for stuff that are not healthy foods. Yeah? So that's all the drawbacks that come from a lack of sleep. Now we're going to move on to why you're all here in the first place. Girl, you said you're going to help me hack my sleep? Help me hack my sleep. All right, I have 9 tips for helping you all hack your sleep. Are you ready for it? Ready, steady, go. Number 1, herbs. The good Lord gave us many herbs that grow naturally in this earth that are meant to help our body and our mind. Important herbs are, pertaining to sleep, lavender, chamomile, ashwagandha, a couple others as well, but those are like 3 main ones. You can have herbs in many ways. Teas. Don't underestimate the importance or the effect of a nice sleepy cup of tea before you go to sleep. And I say sleepy teas because if you go to the grocery, you will see like calm teas, sleepy teas, relaxed teas. And if you watch the ingredients in those teas, you will see you're bound to see a chamomile, you're bound to see a lavender somewhere in there, right? So teas. Essential oils. You can drop essential oils in your bath while you're bathing so that it comes up in the hot water and steam. You can also spray these herbs, so these essential oils. There's really cool pillow mists and bed mists and body sprays as well that I find are really cool. So you can spray your bed, spray your pillow before you go to sleep. You can also get these in like body washes, body creams. I keep a specific lavender body cream for the night and I don't use it any other time. so that my brain kind of associates when I smell the smell, this is time to go sleep. So me, I just put everything on top of each other, which is how these tips are supposed to work. Don't just use one. I encourage you to use many. So for me, in the night, give me the lavender body wash, the lavender cream. Let me spray. Let me burn a candle. Yeah. So herbs, do not underestimate the importance of these herbs in helping our body get sleepy, relax, and come into that space that is great for sleep. Number two, very random, foot massages. If you understand anything about reflexology, the fact that underneath our feet are connected to different parts of our body, giving yourself just a short squeeze underneath your feet, a little pressure underneath your feet, is like giving yourself a whole full body massage. The nights that I am too lazy to rub my feet, I definitely pay the price in how much longer it takes for me to fall asleep. The nights that I actually rub my feet, I fall asleep much quicker. So again, it doesn't have to be no long foot massage, right? Also, you see those massage guns underneath your feet. If you haven't used a massage gun underneath your feet, you are sleeping on yourself. Yeah? So, foot massages before you go and sleep. Ideal if you can get like a chamomile or lavender scented foot cream as well. Reading before you go to sleep. There's a lot of research behind just reading for a couple minutes reduces your stress by, I think it was 67% or something like that. So aside from just that stress relief, why is reading very good before we go to sleep? Firstly, it's bilateral stimulation, which is very common for your nervous system. When you're reading from left to right and your eyes are slightly going left to right, it's a very calming movement that helps us relax. Also, all you know, read a couple pages and you're knocking out on yourself, right? It also allows your eyes to come off of a screen so that you can relax. You can allow your eyes to get into a relaxed state and allow your mind to get into a relaxed state. Also, what you read or whether you read or you watch something before you go to bed, it really kind of affects your dreams and also really sticks in your brain. So this is a little study tip for people. What you study right before you go to sleep is going to stick in your mind the most. So be mindful what you take in before you go to sleep, right? So number three, sleeping tip, reading. So far we have herbs, foot massages, and reading. Number four is a double end for number four. Light-based cues, which means making sure you get sunlight. When you wake up on a morning, get some sunlight. Open your curtains, walk outside, take a little walk outside, or just stand up outside your door for a little bit. Make sure you get some sunlight throughout your day, but even more particular on your morning close to when you wake up. This is going to do good for your circadian rhythm. When your body sees sunlight, it signals to your body that it is daylight. Stop producing melatonin and start producing cortisol. If you allow yourself to be exposed to daylight during the day, then your body is going to know that when that daylight disappears and it's nighttime, this is time for me to settle down. And again, it's going to help cultivate a healthy circadian rhythm. Lights and screens. Do you know that watching your screen, your blue light suppresses the production of melatonin? So for all of those people that go, I'm just going to scroll until I get sleepy, that is completely counterproductive, because you are watching a screen that is actually stopping the production of melatonin, which is the hormone that gets you sleepy. So either stay away from screens or be mindful to turn on like the anti-blue light settings. I think majority of devices by now, if you go into your settings, there are settings on your laptop, on your phone, etc., that allow you to take off the blue light, right? So it kind of turns your screen slightly yellow instead of that bright light, and that's going to help you. So even if you're looking at screens, at least the blue light isn't there stopping the production of melatonin. And I also encourage you to have dim lights in the night. So dim your lights, only put on a lamp. Candlelight is beautiful. The flickering of a candlelight is very soothing for your nervous system as well. So in the nighttime, get your home very dim, very dark, very calm. Do not come into my home and put on no big light any night. I'll go from 0 to, no, I would not go from 0 to 100 because I have a regulated nervous system, right? But dim lights in the night And again, stay away from blue lights, blue light, or get those blue light blocking glasses. Yeah. So far we have herbs, foot massages, reading, light-based cues, and also lights and screens. Okay, nutrition. There are particular points regarding nutrition, particular nutrients that are closely related to your quality of sleep. So I'm going to pinpoint those so that you can pay attention to these. Paying attention to either making sure you incorporate these into your daily diet, or if you know yourself and you know you're not going to eat enough magnesium, enough this, enough that, then get your supplements in. You may not eat enough magnesium throughout your day, but if you are taking a magnesium supplement, you tick that box for the day. So key nutrients you have to be mindful of to cultivate healthy sleep: fiber, magnesium, calcium, and vitamins A, C, D, E, and K. Yeah, so you can rewind that and hear that list over again. So again, our tips so far are herbs, foot massages, reading, light-based cues, screens and dim lights, and nutrition. Next, we have physical activity. You have to be more physically active. There's no ways about it. Okay, you can do all of these things, but if you're not using your body enough, then it's going to get a lot of struggle to fall asleep in the night. Why should we be more physically active? Listen to episode 2. It was all about physical activity. Yeah. So only thing I will say under this physical activity point, because we spoke at length with it in the last episode, the only thing I'm going to remind you all of is that as an adult, we should be having 150 minutes of physical activity every week. Yes. So if we tick those boxes, I promise you, your sleep is going to be improved. You're going to help tire out your body, and all the other positive things that come from physical activity are all going to filter into a healthier sleep pattern. So we have herbs, foot massages, reading, light-based cues, lights, screens, nutrition, physical activity, and we have 3 more. Naps. 2 things on naps. Take less naps, yes, but also naps are not bad. Naps are actually good. But it has to be a nap that is between 20 to 30 minutes. If you go beyond this 30 minutes, you're going to wake up groggy. You're going to end up deep into a sleep cycle that is, you're not going to be able to come out of feeling refreshed, right? So the ideal amount of time for a nap is 20 to 30 minutes. Only one 20 to 30 minutes nap. If you are taking a longer nap or you are taking more than one nap, that's going to have a negative impact on your sleep. So herbs, foot massages, reading, lights, nutrition, physical activity, naps. Second to last, more emotional outlets. Like I said, if you do not create pockets to sit with things, or you do not go into safe spaces to process your trauma, it is going to manifest in other spaces. And one of the easiest spaces is in your sleep. So healthier coping mechanisms, basically. More approaching the problem, solving the solution, or self-care so that you can show up better than avoiding, numbing, and distraction. So this can be talking to safe people, journaling. You can journal writing, or you can journal typing. Of course, therapy sessions and any other spaces that you think are good outlets to speak, to talk, to sit with, to observe your thoughts, observe your emotions, observe your feelings. Again, we don't have to sit with everything 24/7, but we do need to create safe spaces to sit with it. Yeah. And last sleep tip, relaxation techniques. So I am going to link at the bottom of the description on both the YouTube video as well as the Spotify audio. I'm going to attach a link to a website that gives some instructions regarding some relaxation techniques. These are ways that you can turn on your vagus nerve. What is a vagus nerve? A vagus nerve is our turn on switch for our calming side of our nervous system. Maybe we may talk about it a little bit more in next episode. Yeah, maybe not, maybe yes, maybe. So I'm not going to run through instructions on this vagus nerve turn on exercise because I've learned my lesson. Every time I've done this instructional guide on these exercises, whether it's in a workshop or in a private session, then I watch the people look at me like after, because it's very effective. Yes, I'm just going to give a quick instructional behind it. I'm not going to run through it. And as I said, I'm going to link because I'm only going to explain one of them. There are three different variations that. So for this one, this is for sitting. When you're sitting as upright as possible, you're going to keep your head straight. You're going to take your eyes as over to the left, as possible, and then take your left ear over to your left shoulder. You're going to hold that for about 30 seconds until you yawn, swallow, or feel a wave of relaxation. After those 30 seconds, you're going to bring your head up, eyes come back to center, and repeat on the other side. Eyes go all the way over to the right ear tips over to the right shoulder, and holding that for about 30 seconds. Coming back up, eyes come back to center, head comes back to center. Doing this, which is called a half salamander exercise, this is going to help you relax redonkulously good. There are two other variations, one that you can do on all fours, and there's also one that you can do while you're lying down. There's different instructions behind it, different things to do with your hands and different ways to move your eyes. But there's a connection between your eyes, your nervous system, etc. Right? So these exercises were brought out by a psychologist called Stanley Rosenberg. If anybody knows psychology, you know Rosenberg, you know that name. Yeah. So he created these exercises based on a lot of research, and I think that they're very helpful. So these are great exercises to do in your bed before you go to sleep, and it will definitely help you. Yes, so that's all our tips. So last, to recap our tips: herbs, foot massages, reading, light-based cues, less lights, blue light screens, nutrition, more physical activity, less naps or specific naps, more emotional outlets, aka healthier coping mechanisms, and incorporating relaxation techniques. And that's all for the content part of this podcast. Now, I'm going to put up on the screen some home assignments as well as some recommended journal prompts. Just a couple things for you all to reflect on and work on that are going to help you all apply the information that we've covered within this episode. As always, I like to end with a little mini meditation. So if you are busy, if you are at work, if you can't take this in right now, pause it and feel free to come back another time. If you would like a little mindful moment, I encourage you to bring yourself as upright as possible. If you are sitting, if you are lying down, get as comfortable as possible. Wherever you are, allow your eyes to close down. If you are not comfortable with closing your eyes, you can take a slight gaze over the tip of your nose. Let's just begin to notice all the sounds around us, all the sounds around us. Bring your attention into those shoulders and allow those shoulders to relax. Release your bottom jaw away from your top jaw. Release your eyebrows. Release your forehead. Release the muscles on your cheeks. Begin to observe your breath. Begin to notice the pace of your breath. Are you breathing very quick and shallow? Or are you breathing slow and deep into your belly? Let's begin to shift our breathing from something we've been doing on an autopilot to something we're going to do intentional now. So let's pay attention to our inhales and exhales, guiding them through our nose. So inhales are going to go into your nose and into your belly, nice inflating belly on your inhales. And exhaling out your nose, bringing that belly button into your spine. So our inhales through our nose are going to inflate our belly, and our exhales are going to deflate our belly. Let's go together. A nice big inhale through your nose into your belly. Long exhale out your nose, bringing your belly in. Couple more like that. Nice big inhale into your belly. Exhale out your nose. Two more. Nice big inhale. Exhale. Last big inhale. Exhale. Find one word that you think you need right now. What is one thing you need right now? Maybe it's peace, maybe it's clarity, maybe it's faith. Just one word, one thing that you wish you can get in an abundance right now. And just repeat that word to yourself a couple times. Slow and steady, repeating. Beautiful. Now I want you to list 3 things that you are grateful for. Any 3 things that you're grateful for at all. Beautiful. Let's go back into those deep belly breaths in our nose and out our nose. Feeling the movement of your palms as you inhale and exhale and inflate and deflate your belly. Last and biggest inhale that you've taken all day. And long and slowest exhale you've taken all day. When you're ready, flutter your eyes open. And that's it for this episode of the Safe Zone podcast. It was lovely sharing time and space with you. Thank you so much for listening or watching. If you have any recommendations for sleep that helped you, definitely share it. DM, comment, however you want to share it. If you have any requests for upcoming topics, I am all ears. I definitely would love to give you all whatever topics or areas that you all want some more information on. As I've said before, these episodes are released on Spotify as well as YouTube. They are released every 11th of every month at 11:11 a.m. Trinity time. I hope you'll have a lovely rest of your day or night. I hope you'll leave here with a little bit more peace. And I hope you all have lovely, restful sleep tonight. I'll see you all very soon. Bye, guys.